Dream Team, it's your boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with Aussies are sharing the biggest cultural differences between Australia and the USA, and it's so insightful. I'm excited to jump into this, and I scrolled down, so there's 15 differences that we're going to see here. Uh, I know America and Australia are very similar in a lot of ways, but are completely different countries in many other ways. So I'm excited to jump into these cultural differences. Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, give the video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Let's see what we got. It says every day I scroll on TikTok and come across the startling revelation that a fellow Australian has found out about American culture. For some reason, I thought we were pretty much alike, but here are some of the most interesting differences between our two countries. Number one, on getting your license. And I believe it has a picture. I'm going to scroll down and then I'm going to read what they have up top. So Americans just need to drive around a car park for 20 minutes to get their license. Basically, yes. We just have to drive around a car park. Not just a car park, though. You have to drive in the city a tag. Not much. A tag. Maybe a block or two. You got to drive on the streets and everything. And yes, boom, voila, license. But I'm not gonna lie, I failed my first driving test because the city that I've lived in my whole life, that I know all of the streets, that I would have passed with flying colors. Well, when I was going to get my license, they decided to stop doing driving tests, which ticked me off. So I had to drive 30 minutes to another city that I didn't know any of their streets. I failed because I didn't know any of it. You feel me? I probably should have still passed, but that's beyond the point. The point is I would have passed my first time if it was in my city. But I did pass the second time with flying colors. Very easy. Yes, it takes about 15, 20 minutes driving. I waited till I was 18, so I never had to do any of that practice driving stuff with parents and all of that. I just took my test, took my written test online, then went to the DMV, took the driver's test, simple and plain. Here we go. Let's read. All right, so surely it can't be this easy to get your license in the States, right? It is. Perhaps this is only for a learner's permit. In Australia, it's a whole process to obtain your full license. You start off on a learner license where you need to obtain 120 hours of supervised driving with a parent or trained instructor, then a practical test, then a solid 2 years of two different types of provisional license, which has another test in between, and then finally, your full license. No, we don't have to go through all that. You can, like I said, I waited till I was 18, and so I didn't have to go to driving school. I didn't have to do the completed hours, supervised driving. I could skip past all of that. But if I was under 18, if I had to go to driving school, yes, I would have had to go to driving school. I think it may be like 4 to 6 weeks, somewhere in that time. But I had to go to driving school, practice with the instructor, took the written test, do all these things, get a certain number of hours with dad or mom or, you know what I'm saying, an adult. Yes, I would have had to, maybe not 120 hours, but we would have had to go through all these things. And you don't have provisional license. You got your learner's permit. You got your driver's permit. And then you can get your license at 16, I believe. You can get your license so you can go to driving school at 15. But yeah, I don't know if it's different in Australia where if you wait till you're 18, you can just surpass all these things, or if you still have to go through all these things. But because I waited till I was 18, all I had to do was sign up for a written test online, pass it, go to the DMV, take a driver's test, and I was done. Well, let's go number 2. On school curriculums and their difficulty. Australians going on university exchange to the U.S. and the same level of difficulty as year 8. Jesus, is it that bad? I get it might be, because one thing I literally always say is I never found school to be difficult, and I never studied. I never really had to do any of that. School just came pretty easily, and this might be the reason. We might just be easier than everywhere else. It might just be that easy. But yeah. School's not that hard. All you legit have to do is just pay attention. Like, legit, just pay attention in class. In class. You don't have to study. You don't have to go the extra mile. You can if you want the greatest grades imaginable. But if you want to pass, it's very easy to pass. Said, I've never been on exchange to the U.S., so I can't vouch for this one. But there are a lot of Aussies who agree in the comments of this TikTok. saying that they found it to be a lot easier than what they were expected to complete in Australia. I would say that Australian schooling standards aren't anything to be triumphant about. We're below a lot of countries. Yeah, school was never hard for me. Maybe it's because maybe we are that easy, I guess. Number 3 on school rules. Y'all are telling me that Americans can play on the grass without a hat. Yeah, yeah. Hats were actually more discouraged. I feel like in American schools, like you can't really wear hats in American schools. They make you take your hats off and stuff. So well, where I'm from at least. But yeah, you didn't. Wearing a hat was when I first started looking at Australian videos and found out the no hat, no play rule. I thought that was absolutely wild. But then y'all in Australia, y'all got that hole. It's the hole in the ozone, and so it's very dangerous for you guys to play without a hat because of the skin cancer and stuff like that. So you're just trying to be protective, and it's understandable. It's very understandable, but no, yeah, we don't have that here in the United States. Says, look, I'll boil this one down to weather differences because, as we all probably know, it gets effing hot in Australia, especially during summer. As part of that, school kids are required to wear a hat when playing outside during recess and lunch. We even have a saying, no hat, no play. And you can bet teachers enforce this. No hat meant sitting on the benches in the shade while your friends got to have fun. Yeah, we did. We didn't have this. Yeah, weather, you could boil it down to the weather difference, 100% sure. On Australian English versus American English, oh my gosh, let me just be the first one to say these are 2 completely different languages. They're both English, but they're completely different languages. What y'all got? Being an Australian in an American school and asking someone for a rubber. I need to know details about this story. How old was you? What class? Did you ask the boy? Did you ask the girl? I need details. This was peak humor in Aussie schools when kids learned what rubber meant in the States. Basically, we use the word rubber in Australia to refer to an eraser, while I guess in the U.S. it's used as a slang for condom. Yes, that's funny. I would have loved to know the details behind that story. 5 on menu differences between Australian McDonald's, Macca's, and American McDonald's. Me finding out American McDonald's doesn't have frozen Coke. I'm not a fan of frozen Coke. I've had it before. I'm not a fan. I love Coca-Cola. One of my favorite sodas. I wrote a love poem about Coca-Cola. That's how much I love Coca-Cola. And I might say it one day for you guys. If I get enough comments that say I want to hear the poem, I'll read it for you guys. But yeah, we don't have frozen Coke. I've never been a fan of frozen Coke. It says getting a frozen Coke, basically a Coke slushie from Macca's, is one of the Australia's greatest summertime traditions. It cools you off, and the best thing is that the large size will only set you back $1. Plus, they even have spiders available at Macca's. What you talking about? Which is basically the frozen Coke topped with soft serve. Ooh, yum. I feel sorry for Americans that don't get to experience this. Yeah, we have frozen Coke here. It's just not at McDonald's, but like I said, I don't like frozen Coke. Just not a fan. Just not a fan of that one. Number 6 on driving. So we got drive it again. Finding out that roundabouts are uncommon and dislikes in the U.S. because it's hard to use. Yes, because we're used to four-way intersections and stoplights. If we were raised driving on roundabouts, it'd be easy. You could get it down like that. But when you're raised on like the four-way stops, intersections, and the traffic lights and all that, then having to learn something new is always, I feel like, more difficulty. So having to learn about roundabouts and all the rules that apply to roundabouts, we have some, but yeah, they are very uncommon and not liked. I agree with that statement. Yeah, it's just because it's something different. It's something that we're not used to. People don't like change. I think that's what it boils down to. People don't like change, and roundabouts are a change for us. Says, so we did a deep dive about this on BuzzFeed last year. Roundabouts do exist in the States, but as the TikTok mentions, they're super uncommon, and a lot of Americans are just flat out confused on how to use them. Yes. Meanwhile, in Australia, we froth over roundabouts as they're considered to be incredibly simple, safe, and efficient. Honestly, if I'm driving home from the station, like less than a 5-minute drive, I'll run into at least 3 roundabouts, and I'm not mad about it. It's way better than having traffic lights everywhere. I feel you. And if you've grown up with roundabouts and you're used to that, of course that's how you're gonna feel. But if you haven't grown up with that, then you're not used to it. It's a change. It's a difficulty getting used to something, and so it's how it is. Finding out only Australia ends the happy birthday song with hip hip hooray when other countries finish after just the song. I've never had. That's a new one. That's a new one that I've never heard about Australia. So after the birthday song, hip hip hooray. No, we don't do that in birthday songs. We may start a chant, hip hip hooray, hip hip hooray, but we never know. After the birthday song is over, There's no hip hip hooray after that. I really thought this was a universal tradition, but it turns out that Americans aren't familiar with the good old hip hip hooray. That's tagged on after singing someone happy birthday. Honestly though, you guys should try it. It gives a bit of extra pep and pizzazz to birthday singing. Also, if Americans think that's weird, wait until they hear "For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow." Oh, and "Why was he born so beautiful," which are both commonly used at Aussie birthdays. I would love that. I would love to hear it. It would be different, but I would love to hear it. 8. We're gonna stop at 10 things too, cause like I didn't expect to spend this much time, so we may get to the other 5 things in a different video, but we're gonna do 10 things on this video. 8. On things not existing in each other's country. When you find out Americans don't have electric kettles, we're not big on tea or I don't know what else y'all use electric kettles for. Heating up water, I guess. But yeah, we just do that over the stove or in the microwave, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I always felt like if I was like a big tea drinker or something or hot drink, then it would be useful. But for me, I can't think of what I could use electric kettle for that I don't already have. But here we are. Out of all the cultural differences between Australia and the U.S., this is the one that confuses me the most. I am an avid tea lover, so I'm constantly using my electric kettle to boil water in the most efficient way possible. But I guess in the U.S., you guys boil it in the microwave, or the stove. Not but that takes a whole saucepan and time, and it's just so much effort. And I don't understand why you don't use electric kettles. Yeah, like I said, I don't like tea. I don't need to boil the water for much. But if I do, yeah, it's over the stovetop. Usually, I don't boil water in the microwave. I don't know. That's weird to me. But yeah, I guess we should have more electric kettles. I get on minimum wage. Now this one's finna get me. I know this one's gonna get me right here. The Aussie me after realizing the minimum federal wage in America is $7.25. Meanwhile, I'm getting $32 as a waitress in Australia. That's crazy. That's insanity. That's wild, bro. Like, gee, Aussies, I'm on the way. $32 as a waitress in I'm on the way. I'm coming. I'm coming. Look, it's well established fact that wage rates, especially for those working in service industries, I don't know why I've been wearing these headphones the whole time, especially working in service industries like hospitality, are absolutely horrible in the States. So why tipping culture is essential. Those workers rely on it to supplement their income. In Australia, workers operating under service industries receive decent pay under award wages, which set pay rates according to the type of work they're doing, the level they're at, and the industry they're in. As a rough example, the national minimum wage in Australia in 2022 is $20.33 an hour. That's so much more. That's so much better. And I think even when you put it in American dollars, I believe when they did the transfer, it was like 14 to 15 American dollars an hour. So still, when they trade to America, it's still basically double minimum wage. Yeah, that's absolutely insane to me. I don't know why it's still $7.25 federally. A lot of places pay more than $7.25, but the fact that they're able to even pay $7.25 if they wanted to is absolute ridiculousness. Number 10 on school start times. Whenever Americans say that their school year starts in August and finishes in May instead of a simple February to December. But I think we just got summer times at different times of the year. And so I think that's the only thing that boils down to. I get that the U.S. is a whole different hemisphere and this correlates with their seasons. But starting the school year at the start of the year just makes more sense, you know. I completely understand what you're saying. But yeah, like I said, like I said, just difference in season. So summertime is in between, right? May, June, July, August. That time, where summertime in Australia is different. It's when you guys get off of school. So that all boils down to what time of year it is in each countries. But that's all we got for this one. These are funny. It's funny to see the differences between Australia and America, and the stuff that like shocks Australians about American culture. That's all we got. And if you guys got some American culture questions for me, drop them in the comment section and I'll knock them out. If you guys have a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. It's your boy D Neal. Out.